My passions are entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and travel. And whenever possible, I like to combine the three into one project. So right now what I'm working on is a few different projects based all over the world. And I'm working on a trekking company in Bhutan to assist visitors to the country, do treks anywhere from 2 to 30 days in the Himalayan mountains. I'm also working on a Kilimanjaro and safari outfitter in Tanzania. And I'm also working on a web development company that I started over a decade ago, right out of high school. And that's what I'm still doing today. And it provides me with the money and, most importantly, the freedom to continue doing what I love. So in high school, I had to take a language. And I thought that the easiest way to take my 2 years of language would be to do Spanish, just like most people do. And I took it, and I wasn't really interested in it, and I didn't do very well. So after my 2 years were up, I said, heck with this, I quit it. But then in senior year, I got the crazy idea to take Japanese. And my parents were like, why would you take Japanese? It's obviously much more difficult than Spanish. But I had an interest in it. I wanted to learn it. I was interested in Japan, I was interested in Asia in general. So I took a year of it, and it happens that my teacher at my high school had gone on a trip to Japan for a year, and she had lived over there when she was in college, and she recommended this program to me. I applied for it, I got in, I spent the next year, when I was 18, 19 years old, so right out of high school, I spent it in Japan. I pretty much grew up there. It changed me as a person for the better, expanded my worldview just enormously. And when I got back, I wasn't the same person that I was when I left. So when I came back from Japan, my outlook, my worldview had changed, and I wanted to continue living the type of life I lived in Japan, even if I wasn't going to be in Japan. I still had the idea that I would eventually graduate college and move over to Japan and do something over there, because I loved the experience that I had had. But in the meantime, I had to finish college. And to do that, I had to have money, I had to find a job. I went back to my old job at Best Buy selling computers. It just wasn't working out anymore. I couldn't deal with it. So I quit, and I decided to form my own company, doing web development. And I had some experience in doing that on the side. I've been designing websites since 1996, just as a hobby. And then I found out that people would actually pay you to do that. And then I started up my own company. And it was in 2002, I incorporated my company. I was 19 years old, and I just ran with it from there. At first as a temporary thing until I would get a full-time job, a normal job. And after a few years of trials and tribulations and a lot of mistakes, I came to the realization that I could just continue doing this, and I could continue traveling. And every year it went better and better. I got more and more time off. I was getting more and more money. And I just continued to do the things I loved, which were travel and meet new people and have interesting experiences around the world. So my upcoming trip, the thing I've been working on for the past year or so, is something kind of like what I did in the past with the Mongol Rally. I'd driven from London to Mongolia in an old car, and I'm doing the same thing this year, but taking a slight detour after Turkey, about 10,000 miles south. I'll be driving to Cape Town, South Africa. I'm doing this in 2 cars with a team of 5 or 6 people, all experienced adventurers. And our goal is to raise money to support a children's orphanage in Ethiopia called Awasa, and also to dig a few wells along the way to raise money to help facilitate digging those wells through charity water. So the trip will consist of us taking 2 Subaru cars, dressing them up in canvas to look like a pair of Chuck Taylor sneakers, and we're going to be called Team Subaru. We're going to take those cars, ship them to London, and then we're going to all fly over to London, start with the rest of the Mongol ralliers that are on the way to Mongolia, and then take a detour in Turkey, like I was mentioning. The trip will be 13,000 miles, give or take, over 26 countries, including a few dicey ones, Syria, Sudan, Egypt. We have backup routes and backups for the backups. So we're not sure as to the exact schedule right now because there's still a few months left and we don't know what's going to happen politically. up till that time. I mean, even when we start the rally, we have to stay on top of it every single day because things can change. So we found it very difficult to plan with the current unrest in the Middle East, to plan something like this. And the timing isn't great, but we've been planning this for so long, we can't just change things around. We have to go through with it. So we're hoping for the best, and hopefully everything will just magically get better over there before we leave. So I'll be turning 30 during the Africa rally that I'm going to be doing. I'm guessing somewhere around Bulgaria or so. So people always ask me, what are you going to do? You're almost 30. When are you going to settle down? What's the ultimate aim of what you're doing? And I have to say there's no real ultimate goal, but I definitely want to continue doing what I'm doing because I love it. I'm the most lucky person in the world to be able to do what I love, to make money from it, and to continue on with my passions, which again are adventure, philanthropy, and entrepreneurship. One thing that I'd really like to start doing this year or possibly next year is to build myself into a brand that might be able to help others do the same thing that I do, because people always ask me, how do you do it? You know, people think I'm an international arms dealer or I'm smuggling drugs or something like that. Nobody can really grasp how I do what I do. And I always tell people, anybody can do it. I'm not special. I just take my priorities and I make them a priority. I don't just talk about it. I do it. And I've been lucky enough to have the resources to get it done. And that's something a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have. But if I can be a part of helping people become as happy as I am with everything that I'm doing, that would be a major goal of mine. I'd love to do that. I love helping other people out. And I love helping people fulfill their dreams and to reach for their passion.